didn't, so I don't need.
Yeah, she never did pick up a gun in that movie. I don't understand that. That kind of goes against like the entire thing. I need to survive, but
Mm-hmm.
then there were
That's what I
defenders.
said. For a feminist, she spent her whole time relying on men to protect her. So I just thought that part was funny. But oh well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bruce, and today Janet from Another Planet and I will be discussing this wonderful film known as Flash Gordon, The Greatest Adventure of All. And this is probably the most Flash Gordon I've ever watched. I've watched the live action movie probably about 20, 30 times. This I've watched probably in excess of 60. I've watched it 3 times in the last 2 months. And I just absolutely adore this 90 minutes of filmation. Absolute, just knock it out of the park quality. Hey, Soybase Jeremy, I heard you in Discord. I'm like, oh shit, I better get rid of Discord because I don't want to have bleed over from Discord. Anyway, so Janet, first time you've ever seen it, and this is a movie that was originally part of the package that was given. Dino De Laurentiis wants to make a movie, wants to make a Flash Gordon movie. Just hop on the Star Wars craze, but he doesn't have the right people, and he's needing help. And Lou Scheimer from Filmation's like, I've got a little bit of pull. Let's go do this. Mm-hmm. And as part of the package deal, Scheimer says, not only will we get a live action Flash movie, we'll get probably even a Saturday morning cartoon and a real cartoon movie feature presentation. Yeah. And everybody says, wow, this is great. They all shake hands. They make their deal. But initially, the Flash Gordon live action movie comes out, and they make noise for it at the very end of 79 or very beginning of 80. And then they pair up with Queen. The steamroller gets moving on the media train for that. And everybody gets just out of their mind because of this Flash Gordon thing. Oh, it's going to be like Star Wars. It's going to be great. And then of all things, the cartoon comes out on Saturday mornings, which is really a good cartoon. It's kind of off on the same heels of the CBS Tarzan and Batman Adventure Hour. Hey, Relentless Mikey. Hey, Crafting Gamer. This is really a good time. And when the Flash Gordon movie comes out, a lot of people will enjoy it. I'm too young to watch it in theaters. I'm 5. I probably could have gone to see it, but a lot of it would have been lost. And then this movie that we just watched was shelved for years. Mm-hmm. And then it was aired on a Saturday night at like 8 o'clock in the evening, prime time. And holy cow, my dad sat down and he watched it with me, and he's like, this is pretty good. I said, yeah. It took the direction of Ming out a little bit differently. And mm-hmm. it made it to where you saw things from a somewhat different perspective if you've already seen the live action film. And if you were a big fan of the Buster Crabbe stuff, you knew the characters, but it just took them in a little different direction. And
one thing I wanted to add was I like the fact, what helped me a lot, because I'd only seen the Queen version, of this movie. And what helped me a lot was it seemed like they used the same people to play the actors in the movie that they did in the cartoon, because the voices sound almost identical. So that helped me picture, I guess, them more and put that vision of their faces into the characters that I saw on the screen when I was watching the cartoon. So I think that might have helped a lot with me being able to accept, because a lot of people like me have a hard time accepting another version of, once you see it, like yours, your favorite movie, Big Trouble in Little China, if they ever made a remake, you would never accept it.
No.
The thing is, even though this is a cartoon version of it, it's almost like, to me, it's like a remake of the movie that I saw, even though it was made before it, but it was tabled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but see, so I wouldn't have known it was tabled to me, it was like they made it off of the other movie. See, that's the only thing I would know unless I looked into it and found out. But it did have the same characters because the woman that played Dale Arden was the same woman that was in the movie.
Yeah, right? They got some characters that sound an awful lot like the live action actors. They really did.
But it is the same actress.
No, it's actually, I don't believe it is.
Oh, no. Oh, I'd like to see. I'd like to look that up because I thought it was the exact same as it sounded just like her, but Diane not as bimbo-y.
Provided the voice for Dale Arden, and that is Mrs. Diane Pershing. However, Dale Arden in the movie was played by Melanie Anderson.
Melanie Anderson. Okay. Well, yeah. She did a really good job, but it's like I said, in the movie, the original movie that I saw, which was Queen, I didn't really like the actors that played the two leads. I liked everyone else as their characters, but for some reason, I just didn't seem like they acted the characters because, just like I said, in the movie, she's supposed to be a feminist, but she acted more like a cheerleading bimbo.
She acted like a floozy in the movie, and I really.
In the movie. She couldn't do anything for herself. She everything she screamed and needed help for everything. So she didn't act. I don't know why they would put that in her bio on like the different websites talking about her character if she wasn't a feminist. She didn't even act like a feminist. She acted like a wimp. So I don't know. That just took me for a loop. Just some of that. I was expecting a little more, but she definitely was in the cartoon. She was a stronger character than she was in the movie. I thought the other movie.
Yeah, I think in the cartoon series they really made made Dale Arden a very strong-willed character. She's kind of what people look to. Or when Lucas was writing the initial draft of his Star Wars Episode 4 is what we call it, but it was really just Star Wars. Okay, when he was writing Princess Leia, he was thinking of Dale Arden. He really was. Princess Aura plays a wonderful sensual foil for Flash. In every incarnation of Flash Gordon I've seen. And in this one here, even though it's more PG-ified, because it's a cartoon, and it was designed to be shown targeting children. This was supposed to look at, we were supposed to be for kids. But even with that information, when you watch it, you can still sense that, like, if this was, going to be a cartoon made for adults, like Heavy Metal, this movie would have been an absolute there would have been 30 to 40 minutes of fucking between Princess Aura and Flash.
Well, the thing is that in the movie, the musical one, I just say the musical, because to me, I thought Flash Gordon was a musical when I saw it. Okay. That's how it was put out for me. And she was the princess was very sexual. She used her beauty, that she knew she was beautiful, and the fact who her father was to entangle men, okay, and to threaten them into doing her will. You know what I mean? She used her body and her prestige or her strength with her family name or whatever you want to do it to get. She was a femme fatale, basically. You know what I mean? But in this movie, the cartoon version, she was less of a femme fatale. She was more intrigued because he was from another planet. He was very attractive, and she wanted him more like a pet. You know what I mean? Instead of the way she acted toward the prince in the other movie. The actual. You could tell that she just wanted to make him jealous. She wasn't after Flash Gordon for any reason besides getting the prince jealous. You see what I mean? That type of thing. So I like that whole way that they used those characters in the other movie compared to the way they did it in this one. But in this one, I liked the character of Flash Gordon and Dale Arden better because they seemed more professional and going for something that was to save the earth, basically, because of the guy that was dying at the very beginning. So I like that whole thing. And then the fact that they just met on a plane, and that she's madly in love with him by the time they're done. I guess, it shows that danger, infatuation can cause people to fall in love, I guess.
Makes her a little moister in the oyster. I could see that.
Yeah. So I just thought that was because I couldn't help myself from going from one to the other back and forth and comparing them the whole time I watched it. That's the only bad thing about having to watch something and try to talk about it afterward without, if I hadn't seen the other one, it wouldn't have been, any problem at all. But since I'd already seen it, I just couldn't help. I didn't want to compare, but I did,
Yeah. You just watched this 20 minutes ago and you're like, oh, okay, that was kind of different. I was not expecting this.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm processing it, but I did like the leads better. Flash Gordon's character, the way they portrayed him in this cartoon, animated or whatever, and Dale Arden's character better than I liked in the other one, because they were more mature, acting, less college-like, I don't know. They just seemed like mature adults, and they handled everything a little different. And it wasn't such her throwing herself on him like she did in the movie, that type of thing. So I liked it. I thought their characters were better. But I kept picturing the faces of the people from the movie onto the characters and their voices, I guess. I just thought they were very similar.
I like how this movie starts off in Poland. I like how everything come right out, and you kind of get the idea that, like, at some point they're going to talk about World War II, and maybe it's going to tie into that.
Mm-hmm.
And with everything starting off in Poland, and then the meteors are falling, and you're like, okay, this is some really weirdly shaped bombs. Then you find out, okay, well, the meteors are coming from Ming, and it ties into the original storylines where that's how Mongo was initially assaulting us by hitting us with weird weather patterns, by giving us the hot meteorites and all sorts of stuff. I thought that was pretty interesting. And then once you find out that this Flash Gordon, he's not a footballer, he's a professional, and he now works for the State Department.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of hit me a little different when I started watching again and just analyzing that. And I'm thinking, why would they pull him into the State Department? Why would he not be involved with something like, the Department of War or the Defense Department at the time?
Well, I liked it. I thought that's what I'm saying. I liked his portrayal in this animated movie better for his character, because it seemed more disciplined. He had a vision focus. It wasn't just like rah rah, do it for the team, like he had in the woohoo musical. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the fact that later on, during the dramatic parts where he was talking about destroying the planet, and he was using us against ourselves by competing for a war, and then they brought in the Nazi symbol on the rockets, that he had given to the Nazis, and then they
Mongo.
Mongo was wanting to have us destroy ourselves, basically, and watch it from afar, like toys or whatever, or children playing a chess game or whatever. And the fact that they showed the cartoon drawing, though, and stuff that they did, the animated part for Hitler was just, it looked really, really real to me.
Really?
Remember I said to you, I said, oh my God, I'm shocked they put this in this movie, because it was like, wow, they went way out.
There's no chill. There's no chill in early filmation. There really isn't, because if they meant to show you something, you got to see it. Now, granted, they didn't give you like the super gore and violent shit. They saved that. That was mainly for the in the ballpark for Johnny Quest. Johnny Quest was the one cartoon I wish we could get back to, because you would see people with head wounds dying grievously, and Dr. Quest is unable to do anything for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of sad about that. It's like, like this and then my dad told me, he's like, this was at a time, this was made when cartoons were there to show you that you couldn't do everything in a cartoon just because it's a cartoon. If a person jumped or fell 20 or 30 feet, they were going to die if they didn't land right.
Mm-hmm. Or even if they landed right, they'd break their legs, or their spine would go up into their skull or something, you know. That's real life.
I miss that, and we don't have that now. We really don't. Very few animation companies want to put that in their product because they want that to be devoured by 12-year-olds and bought by hundreds of crappy parents, you know, and then never watch what their kids are watching. So, hey, Vlady, how you doing, sir? I think whenever you see that Mongo or that Ming is selling Hitler weapons of war, that was when I realized, like, you know, this show is a lot better than what it has any right to be. And I thought that at that point it was kind of evolved at that moment. No, it wasn't going to show you sexuality. It wasn't going to show you Princess Aura ripping Flash's clothes off, even though it probably should. It did show you that there's a palpable evil out there, and it will do everything in its power to ruin the goodness that's around.
Yeah.
And most definitely.
It was definitely not something I would want my children to watch. Okay. Especially when it got to the part where he said he wanted to marry Dale, right? And when Ming wanted to marry Dale, and then he took her into the, I guess the other bride's room or something, where all his other brides were, all his other wives, and they were from all different races. The beautiful lion woman, and then the lizard women that were beautiful, and then other humanoid looking women that were dressed scantily, and they were all sexually laying around and, like, you know, just loving the fact that they're being treated like goddesses, basically. So, you know, maybe it wasn't so bad for some of the people, the women on the planet, because they were working in the mines, and they were basically having to scratch around just to get anything to eat and a place to live. So being chosen as one of his brides wasn't a bad thing for these people when the way they grew up. But the one thing I really wish they would have added was the fact that who's the mother? Which one was the mother of the princess? Because I couldn't tell by looking at the way that they went across the room, you know, and they worked their way to Dale while she was putting on the beautiful dress and stuff for the wedding. Which one would have been the princess's mother? You know, that type of thing.
Princess Aura. Mm-hmm. It might have been hinted at in other media, but I don't remember the queen for Ming ever. So, like, I'm pretty much certain that Princess Aura is the result of a concubine, and because, like, that's the one that the abortion didn't take right. Well, fine, fuck it, I've got a daughter.
So none of them gave birth or something, I guess, because it was crossbreeding. But remember when he was saying he was flirting with Dale before the wedding, kind of like rubbing it in that he could just use a wave of his hand and make her want to be seduced by him, you know, because he was going to use his powers on her, but that he liked her strong spirit and stuff, so he wasn't going to use it on her. That made her more feisty, you know, more like gonna fight back kind of thing. And he was interested in that, you know, like someone that bites and nibbles or whatever. You know, he was really into that. But the fact that he kept saying he wanted to see what the breeding would bring out, what their child would look like, that kind of thing. So the fact that I don't know, it just seemed like I didn't see any other kids, you know, you didn't see any other children running. Hey, Daddy, like, what was the name of that movie? The Prince and I, or The King and I? Remember the King and I movie when it came out, and all his children come running up? He had all the wives, right?
I believe
he had
so.
all these kids. So that's what I was expecting when I realized when he was talking to her and I saw all the beautiful women. I thought somewhere we would see all the children because of what he said to Dale about. I wonder what our child's going to look like, because, you know, you're so beautiful and I'm so handsome. You know, the way he portrayed himself. I just thought we'd see that, and it kind of was a little bit of a letdown when they never showed any children. But I never saw a single child except for the grown princess, it was a grown woman, that was wanting to be around herself, with the prince. Some of the other characters.
Well, there's a definite reason why you don't want to have like 17 kids running around. I'll give a real world example. We have this thing called the Middle East, and over there's this little cult or religion called Islam.
Yeah.
And whenever one guy went out and had sex with everything he could find, 9 years and up, he made a bunch of kids, and none of them could agree on which one was the true way to live once dad died. And each one of them had their own specific idea or vision of how Islam should be, which is hilarious. And so now, because that fucker couldn't keep his dick in his pants,
yeah,
you have an entire region of the world that's blowing up because somebody's not Muslim enough. And that's the world's you're going to be offended, people.
Well, there's too many infidels.
No. I'm not even worried about the infidels. It's the fact that the biggest group of professional victims of capital crimes in the world is Muslims. Muslims get the most capital crimes committed against them, and it's always done by other Muslims. Like, there's other people that want to help curtail that population. Don't just stand back, build a wall up, let them have it out, let them fight it out, because they're not going to come to peace. They've been at this for fucking 1,400 years. They're going to keep trying to kill each other because you're not Muslim enough, and you're not Muslim enough.
Well, if you have sex with goats and sheep and camels, you're wasting your ability to procreate with real people. So it's that lowers your sperm count. When you're boinking everything, so your chances of having a child go way down. So maybe that's a good thing if you think about it.
Yeah. And Pleiades right between 5 and 7 is proper age to find your wife.
So because they wanted virgins, for some reason. So they had to go younger and younger because you got to remember.
Like, if these guys had ever had sex with a virgin before, like the dude's just a small recreation in the back seat, the dude's kind of exhausted. He's nutted. He's happy, and the girl's there. She's a virgin, doesn't really know how these things happen. So this is all new experience to her. She's like, "Oh my God, is he done? He's losing his boner? What's wrong? I feel kind of moist. Something happened? Does he think I'm fat? Are we done? Do we keep going? What's on? What's going on?" And no, you don't go for just like nothing but virgins. Go for one, keep it, and train it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. These men, you got to remember, these men in that religion are allowed to just go out and take whatever they want. And if they did take a woman that was wearing a burqa, they would basically stone her to death in the street because there's no such thing as rape. And if you are raped, it's because the woman had to have done something to ask for it, basically. So when you can just, sleep with whoever you want, boys, animals, whatever, it's, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see them being able to outnumber everyone else. That's why I'm kind of happy that China and India and a few other countries have them outnumbered, basically. So,
well, I'm not a big fan of Islam. No big surprise. I don't have like a huge amount of Muslim friends, but the ones I do have, I'm happy about.
But you're thinking that Ming was Islamic?
No, I'm not thinking he's Islamic. Oh. I just think that he practices, he treats sex like most Muslim men would in power because they think they can just fuck everything. Then they've got an entire village of like their ugly little kids. And maybe some of those ladies he impregnated might be relatives of his. So you got little potato children coming out and little smart kids coming out. Because sometimes, like if you fuck your cousin, like you get little potato kids, and that's not really what you want.
Maybe.
And like the entire Middle East is just like one big fucking incest pit, in my opinion. That's not a clinical opinion. I'm not a genealogist, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of places in the Middle East where like you have uneducated Muslims fucking each other's sisters or like first cousins or aunts or something. And there's a lot of potato children that come out of it. And I know that probably won't endear me to the PC crowd. shame, I know, but it's fucking true. And if you go over to these Middle Eastern countries, if you're part of like a global task force, if you've been places where these people are kind of high in number, you'll see that the ones that have the means, they will travel to find somebody that's not immediately related to them. In fact, a large number of the richer ones get on Instagram and try to get every influencer to go to Saudi Arabia or Dubai. It's kind of sad because that's where a lot of your professional whores go. And then the others that don't quite have that money, they end up at some crappy community college in America. And because the fact they're exotic, they're not from here, they're not like from down the road, they typically will have the run of the litter. They'll have the run of the town because like, hey, I'm actually kind of popular and cool here, so I can screw everything I want. And they within 6 months they've
the sad fact is in every country that of any man I've ever spoke to from different countries and had any type of long discussion about finding a wife and all this type of stuff, when you listen to all of them, they all pretty much do the same thing. They're all out when they're in their teens, out to get whatever they can get whenever they can get it, right? So then when it's time, when they're in their late 20s or early 30s and they're thinking, well, I want to have a family, I want to find a nice girl and blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, where are you going to find a nice girl? You've already took out all the virgins, all the young girls, so now you don't want to marry them because they've slept with 3 or 4 men or more. Okay, because they were young and 17 years old, and some guy was like telling them, I love you, the most beautiful person I ever met, I want to be with you forever. Then you sleep with them and then you never hear from them again because the conquest is over. So I tell girls all the time, don't have sex with any of them until they give you a ring. At least then when they dump you, you can get some money for it. And make sure you take it and have it appraised and make sure it's real. So get something out of it. I hate to say it, but that's just the way. I told girls that in high school. I had lots of friends in high school that had a baby already, and the guy never spoke to him again afterward. So it's like, that's one reason why I said, "Fuck you, I ain't sleeping with none of you." Well, I held on to mine for a long time.
But Ming the Merciless was just a fucking. He's a behind the scenes. He's kind of a sexual deviant. I mean, it never comes out and says that in the comics or in the media, but the guy's got tons of women that he's already conquered. They're part of the enslaved group of ladies.
Yeah, but they didn't look enslaved, is what I was saying about the one scene when you see the camera panning across and you see all these beautiful women from wherever, all the different planets maybe he's been to, and other people on the planet that he's on. They had their own people or whatever, like the lion women and the lizard ladies and a few others that I saw. And they were beautiful. And they were all lading around in beautiful gowns, and they had servants attending them and stuff. So to me, they didn't look like they were prisoners. They weren't all tied up in cages or anything. So to me, it just looked like a lot of countries that have, people that have multiple wives. He's a king. He owns the planet. What woman wouldn't, or a family wouldn't want their daughter to be picked by this king? They'd say, hey, he's going to give us a place to live. He's going to give us a bunch of cattle or whatever, and we're going to be higher up, especially if she procreates children for him. That type of thing. That's the thought process that you would see, especially when you find out later, because I didn't know what year it was supposed to be in or anything until we saw the scene where he lifted up that little thing and there was all the rockets with the swastikas on it, right? And he was like, what are you going to do with those?
At the start of it all, it said 1939.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just saying, for people who didn't know that or know the story, they wouldn't really know until you realize that he's supposedly the person that gave the technology to the Nazis on how to destroy the earth, basically, start a war, basically, so that all of us destroy each other. And he wouldn't have to do it. He could just sit back and have a drink and smoke a cigar and enjoy the view. after he taken what he wanted from it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So to me, I mean, his technology, just like you saw when they went into his room at the end that provides all the energy for the planet or the ship or whatever you want to call it, it was pretty massive. You know, it had a lot of technology available to him. So they were lucky that he toyed with them instead of just destroying, pushing one button and destroying them all, you know, because he could have. Once you find out more about him, he didn't have to hang around. You know, he could have just said, oh, yeah, come push a button and the planet would be just gone. But because of the woman, Dale, he was intrigued more. Because remember what he said? He said, I didn't think there was anyone beautiful or nice or, you know, worth having and desiring as her. You know, he said that to her. So
yeah, and he was very intrigued with Earth women.
Yeah, with her, with the one, because he hadn't met another one before that.
Yeah, and
so
like,
he was thinking twice about whether he wanted to destroy the planet, because if there's more of this one, maybe I can get me a few of them before I decide to destroy it. See, so I think in the animated movie, the plot changed from the one from the Queen version, you know, with the music, because the point of view of Ming changed, because he was adamant that he was going to destroy the Earth until he captured Dale and realized, wow, there could be a treasure trove of fun on planet Earth. So maybe I'll wait a little while before I destroy it and see what's available, you know, before I take it out. You see, that point of view came into my mind, I thought, from his the way he treated her in the movie.
Yeah, he was really infatuated. I don't think Ming ever really meets Dale without being infatuated with her. I think that's just kind of a thing that happens with Ming when he meets Dale in any of the media.
Yeah, but this one, he actually gave more substance to his intrigue into her than he did from the other one. Instead of his eyes just going, "Boo," you know. I don't know. At least that's what I kind of got from it. He seemed intrigued by the way she carried herself differently. She was proud, not a bitch, but proud and smart. She could carry on a conversation, and she was beautiful. So, you know, she had all these little interesting things that he hadn't had in a while, because all the women were dominated. So it changes everything. When you have a woman that can sit across the table from you and have a conversation and maybe have the same interests as you, it changes the whole aspect of what you can get out of that relationship compared to just sleeping with her. And it's like, what now? What, you know? So I just thought that the concept that they had in this animated version was really good about making her that's why I said I loved this character compared to the one with Queen, because she would just say, go Flash, go, you know, a dumb bimbo. She was a dumb bimbo-ish character in the other movie compared to this one, where she was an actual intelligent woman. You know, so I liked it. I thought that it was a good portrayal of her, better than the other movie I saw. So
hey, Kate and Orlando, how are you doing today? Yeah,
thank you for coming in.
I really think that, I mean, I don't like to compare Flash Gordon movies against each other, especially when you got, like, you know, a million, multi-million dollar.
That's all I have is the comparison.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you ever seen the old Buster Crabbe versions of Flash Gordon, or no?
Mm-mm. The only other version I ever saw was the one that Queen sang through.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I never have seen.
We'll have to put that on the list, because they're kind of fun. They're very corny, very low budget. It's like watching first season of Doctor Who. If you can handle watching first season of Doctor Who, the first 1950s season of Doctor Who. You can handle that.
I didn't watch the whole season, but I watched some of the episodes with my father because he had the whole collection on VHSs. Remember, I told you he's the one that introduced me to sci-fi. You know, he's the one that introduced me to Godzilla and King Kong and Star Trek. You know, all that stuff, because my sisters were not interested and my mom wasn't either. So we would go in his office and, you know, watch all kinds of cool stuff. And he had all kinds of books and collectibles and stuff. And got me hooked on all of that stuff. So that's where it came from on my side.
Well, I just for that, I think I just want to shake your daddy's hand, because your dad seems like a very cool guy.
He is. I thought he was. I love my parents. I thought I had great parents.
Sounds like it. If you guys in the chat have seen this cartoon before, the Flash Gordon, the greatest adventure of all. If you've seen it before, go ahead and give your scores in the chat, because we're going to continue to talk about this. And it definitely, I think that you have to time travel back, because the sci-fi craze has been kicking off for a couple of years. Star Wars came out, and everybody's got to have a space movie. We've got to have a space movie. We've got to have a space series. Growing up, Saturday mornings, the first thing I remember is watching a really crappy show called Jason of Star Command. And Star Command, the year before, which I barely remember because it was 76 and I was 1. Mm-hmm. But it was a very much like every other space opera or space serial on TV, with the miniature sets, and then they would have some location-based sets. They would have some stage sets, and you could tell the budget wasn't really there. It's a Filmation live-action show in the late 70s, and it actually turned out to be a somewhat of a small hit. The first season had James Doohan in it until the second season came around, and James Doohan's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta go make this new Star Trek movie," and off he goes. Everybody's like, "Well, we're really happy for you. See ya. Have fun with Star Trek." And they made another thing for Star Command. It was Jason of Star Command the year after that. And Filmation had 3 live-action shows in the late 70s on Star Wars craze.
Did you see did I share that tweet with you, or post, I mean, of him from damn it, now I'm all messed up.
Which one?
Scotty, the actor that played Scotty, was in D-Day.
What's going on with James Doohan?
No, the actor that played Scotty he performed or was in the service for D-Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that? That is you? Yeah. So I just thought that made me even like him even more. I mean, I don't know how you can like someone more, but I love the actors, especially actors that served, like, my mom loved Elvis because he served in the military, and he was a respectful man, and he loved his mama. She always said that a good man, if you can find a good man that loves his mama and treats his mama good, then you'll have a good husband that treats you good. So that was all I wanted to add, is that made me like Scotty even more when I found out.
He was almost classified as a war hero. In fact, if he had never been in Star Trek, he would only be known for the fact that he got part of his finger blasted off during World War II. Mm-hmm. I want to say that was on D-Day. I'm not certain. I think it was. But he's a lucky man, and he lived a full, healthy, happy life. He had some rough stuff happen to him, but man, I'm very thankful about James Doohan being part of the life that I got to grow up watching, and he was just a badass. Hey, Caroline Congress. Now, I with that, okay, well, how did you liked pretty much everybody else except for Flash Gordon in the live action version? I mean, I really enjoy watching Timothy Dalton as Prince Lotan, and then
I did. That's what I'm saying. I really liked the other Prince, the one from the singing version that I got to see first, over this one. He was so drab and arrogant, in this version. I didn't see him as a princess as compatible. But in the movie, they seemed madly in love with each other, and then she would tease him and stuff by flirting with other men to make him jealous. It was like to keep his claws out on her. You know what I mean? I think she toyed with him, and I liked that back and forth in the first one I got to see, the first Flash Gordon.
In live action, there's a lot more sparks.
Yeah.
there is a lot more sparks. I guess here we are discussing compare and contrast, but this is a cartoon, and in the live action version, you get to see a lot more sexual tension because of the Melody Anderson and Sam J. Jones actually kind of almost having something. It seemed like they tried having a fling, or there was just really good chemistry between the two of them on the live action version. But then when Arnella, the lady who played Princess Aura, and Timothy Dalton, when those two were on screen, like they actually felt like there was actually something there. Like
yeah, it's very good chemistry between the two actors.
Yeah, those two really seem like they had like spent some time with each other, just so they're like, listen, we should probably go hang out for about a week. That way we at least look like we're enjoying each other's
I bet they hung around more than a week. I mean, it just seemed very, very believable. Their on-screen steam, that's what I'm saying. The Flash Gordon on the animated one and Dale's characters in the animated seemed more passionate between the two of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was more passion and more respect. Even though he had to help her, he was always finding the right way to go, and he was finding out how to save them all and all these different things. He still respected her because he still cared about her input, even though she really didn't act much like a feminist, like I was saying, her character is supposed to be. But he treated her with respect. You could see the way he looked at her and the way he talked to her. He talked to her with respect in the animated version. Now in the other version, it was more all sexual. It was like, she's a bimbo and I got to protect her because she doesn't know. She's like, go Flash, go Flash, go. Like she was a cheerleader or some, dumb bimbo. She just didn't have anything besides being a bimbo. It was like, it was sad. That's why from day one, I really didn't like Flash Gordon or her character from the other movie. But in this one, I actually was, wow, they actually are people and they have a purpose, that I liked about the animated version of it, because it showed both of them as mature adults that had purpose and a meaning before they even get on Mongo, that type of thing. So I liked it. I really enjoyed that part because it actually had a story arcs for them. That was what I was trying to find earlier, is the fact that in the musical version, they really didn't have character arcs. They were just like there. You know what I mean? But everyone else in the movie earned their way through it. They had to struggle and fight to win back their planet, basically, from a horrible, terrible man that was trying to destroy everyone. So I thought the animated version on the whole script part of it was definitely better. And I love the animation too. So
I don't know. I can watch either version of Flash Gordon that we're talking about right now, the live action Queen movie, or this, and I'm going to be happy either way.
I was happy. I'm not saying it wasn't.
I've watched this one a lot more, and I've just come to kind of realize that Filmation really did their best when they were trying to treat the license with as much respect as they could. And I don't understand how people just this has been a thing. This has been out for over 40 years. And if people say they like Flash Gordon, oh, do you know about this? And then they're like, what? No, there was a cartoon they put on Saturday night. Nobody really watched it. It had shit ratings. I remember watching the Week in Review, and that did poorly. And I used to watch whenever they would have the ratings discussed in TV Guide on things, I would always go to that just because I wanted to know if my favorite TV show or the show that I was watching, the cartoon I liked, is it going to get canceled? 90% of the time, it always did. And I learned like that's your good early warning system, and I wanted to make sure that what I was investing my time in, too late. I like this show. We're six episodes in, and I'm really enjoying it. They're going to cancel it, and that happened to me far too much. Sorry, I know, guys, you weren't really expecting that, but there was too many times where I'd like a show or a cartoon or something. Thundar the Barbarian, it lasted 2 seasons. That's all you get. 2 seasons of Thundar the Barbarian. Godzilla cartoon, you know, that lasted 1. Even the Puppy Adventures, which had not early, but like pre-Optimus Prime Peter Cullen voicing one of the pups.
Yeah.
That only lasted us a season. There are so many good quality pieces of content out there that it came and went within a season or a half season, and you just like, why did that fail? How can a garbage show like the Snorks get 4 seasons, 3 or 4 seasons of the Snorks, which is a garbage ripoff of the Smurfs? How can we have that, and yet all these other great shows didn't get shit? Now, I'm not going to talk great about Turbo Teen. That wasn't that good. I'm not going to talk, fantastic about the Mighty Orbots. Although the Mighty Orbots did the one thing that no other cartoon in my childhood ever did.
Well, did that cartoon, did it have like toys and lunch boxes and all that stuff? The orcs or whatever it was you were talking about?
The Mighty Orbots tried to do a toy line, but none of the toys were high quality. They would end up at the Five and Dime Ben Franklin in Mount Pulaski.
Well, the company went cheap trying to make extra money, and that's what they got. So
yeah, they really.
If marketing doesn't make money, they're not going to keep doing it. You see what I mean? So when a company loses money, they'll move on to the next thing. So that's probably why some of your shows didn't last, because whoever was in charge of the marketing department didn't do a very good job to make sure that it was more successful. So just like I said, a lot of things collapse, not because they're not good, but because bad people were in charge of making sure it was successful. Just like that movie the pirate movie that was so good, but flopped so bad because it had so many people involved that were corrupt, basically. It ruined it. Even though it was an excellent script, excellent story, good actors and everything, it suffered. Not because of them. We suffered because of the people in charge running everything in the background. So,
well, I mean, that's Carol Code. Mighty Orbots did the one thing no other cartoon in my childhood did, Janet. And what it did was, in the start of the season, it had a big bad guy, and by the end of the season, they killed it. The final episode was like an anniversary episode where the robots were worried, and they found their creator had found on the computer like some robot designs, and they got worried that he was going to scrap them and make new robots. And so the robots decided they would go off to fight the big bad without him, and they actually managed to fucking kill it. They actually managed, because they were wanting to prove themselves, like, we deserve to be in existence. We've done everything we can, and we've done everything right as much as we can. And they actually did something that, with their little narrative, they through their storyline of all 12 episodes, it was really neat. But they actually killed the big bad guy, and at the very end, the creator's like, no, that the designs you found, those were the pre-alphas before I made you, and I wanted to show you guys this was what I was working on before you came along, and the design theories were failing, and so I had to go back to the drawing boards, and you guys came about because I had a good mentor, and he told me what I needed to do. And the cartoon was one of those stupid, happy cartoons at the very end. I didn't expect them to cancel the cartoon, but they knew they were getting canceled. They were not going to get a second season. So they actually had a chance to, like, okay, we're going to go out with a bang. We're going to fucking have giant-ass explosions. It already looked like anime because it had a different type of animation style to it. But it was one of the few cartoons where they actually went out and achieved. They hit their goal of, we got rid of the big bad guy. And I never thought that I'd see that growing up, especially this is about the same year that the Transformers movie came out, and they killed like all the toys, all the robots that were part of the first 3 seasons. They're dead. They're all dead. You have to buy new robots now. And that's exactly what happened with that. That was the backroom discussion there.
Wasn't it in it like a Transformer movie? I'm trying to remember which character it was. I can't remember his name right this second, but I think I remember a bunch of people being really upset when they killed off this one real badass Transformer, and they were mad because their sales just went through. They just bottomed out.
Yeah.
You know, the sales. It really hurt the industry. So, you know, if the people in charge of the marketing department don't, you know, keep up with what's going on in the store, you might end up with a whole bunch of memorabilia that you can't get rid of because the kids don't want it if he's dead. You know, they don't want to be Batman if Batman's now dead. He'll go on and say, "I'll be the Hulk," or "I'll be," you know, another character, because they don't want to be a dead character. So, you know, him disappearing, you know what I mean? Something like that, mysterious. He can still come out, you know, and at some other time. But kids aren't stupid. They know that dead means it's over with, you know. So, and they're the ones that make mom and dad buy them the toys. So, you know, you can't kill off people.
That's what happened, though. I mean, in '86,
I know.
In '86, the Transformers movie came out, and the early reports were, don't take your kids to see this. In fact, you should probably not let your kids watch the Transformers TV show anymore, because what's going on is they got rid of all the characters. And I remember watching a couple of movie critics say how their kids hated this show and they had to leave the theater early because their kid was a bawling mess because Ironhide died, Jazz died first thing, and just it was kind of heartbreaking because here's a toy that you got out of school with, you know. And here's where the connection really is: the toys, the merch. Star Wars was a fun movie, but all of us kids had Star Wars toys or Transformers toys or whatever toys. When you get out of school, you couldn't wait to get home and maybe call up a friend, have them come over, or be by yourself. If you're an only child, it's a lot easier. You're by yourself and you're having a movie go on in your head.
Yeah.
And you're playing with your toys. And if nobody's there to intervene or have some really crappy idea to throw in your movie that's in your head, it's your movie. And it for some odd reason, it just, you form an emotional bond with this toy and you think it's really cool. It's the same thing with little kids and stuffed animals. But, you know, if you ever want to see a kid cry, grab their stuffed animal and twist its arm off. You're going to have a completely irate parent trying to beat your ass, and the kid's going to be a bawling mess. Congratulations, you're an asshole. Don't do that. But good seeing you, Mike. We'll talk to you soon. The this is why the old Yeller toys sold so poorly.
Oh,
especially the one
terrible.
With old Yeller.
Yes.
Old Yeller with a gunshot wound to the head. Yeah, that one there wasn't really that good. I got to say that these kids formed an emotional bond with these toys and the cartoon characters, because in their head they're being voiced by Peter Cullen and all the other great voice actors at the time. And then they get to go see the Transformers movie. You're going to see the Transformers movie. Oh my God, it's going to be great. And then we watch all their fucking toys get the shit kicked out of them and blown open. Starscream died. Of all the fucking, like,
yeah, that's who I was trying to remember his name.
Starscream got killed, and I was like, how can you kill off Starscream? Why would you want to kill off Starscream? That's like the best character to keep alive because he's such a dick.
People like me and you that watched the cartoons and read the books or whatever else and fell in love with characters, we bought this stuff. That's how they made money, and that's the reason why it was so successful. If you make a bad product that every time you get anything, that breaks, you can't have it or you can't wear it or whatever, people aren't going to spend their money on it. But later on, someone might want one or two of them if it's in good shape, because they're thinking all they're thinking about is selling it. But see, not like me, I play with my stuff. See, I'm an old woman and I still want to play with my stuff. I'm not a little kid. Okay. Yeah. But I enjoy them because I don't know why I just do. Only other people that are in this frame of mind, apparently, can understand what I'm talking about, but my whole house has this stuff in it. Okay. And some people can't handle that. I've had people come in and go, oh, you're eclectic, that kind of that kind of attitude. But the thing is, for any of these type of movies to make money, in in the long run, like having a cartoon, having multiple movies, different memorabilia, they're going to sell T-shirts, posters, little trinkets, lunch boxes, or whatever, Pez dispensers, any of that stuff. They have to work with marketing if they expect to be able to be successful. If marketing knows that this is coming up, this, that, and they help push it, guess what? The kids are lining up at the movies. And so are the adults, because they want to see the next thing that's unfolding in front of them about a character they love. Okay. And that works. And you can see that's why some things are so successful and other things kind of like, Even TV series like The Big Bang Theory, I got tons of their junk. So, and a lot of my friends that are real geeks and nerds and stuff didn't like Big Bang Theory. They thought it betrayed geeks and stuff wrong. But to me, I don't think it did. A little bit of dumb stuff in there is okay for me, as long as it gets more people to realize that geeks are great. I'd rather hang out with geeks and nerds than I would normal jocks. I mean, honestly, that's how I look at it. Because you can be a geek and be a jock too. So
yeah,
that's how I look at it.
I this didn't happen to me into my 30s, but I really enjoyed being a geek in my 30s, and like you could breed out, or you could weed out the characters out of your life real quick by having them come over and they see your shelves of miniatures and D&D books, and they're like, oh, you do this. Yeah, I do this. And then we go to their house and it's like this fucking plain Jane, like knickknacks, not real knickknacks that are licensed properties. Like, here's a knickknack off of Mama's Family, and here's a knickknack from Archie Bunker, and here's my commemorative mug set from Alice the Diner, bullshit. No. This is just like, these people are boring. They buy the cheap shit at Walmart, and they are focused on my kids or my world. And if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't need me at my best, blah, 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 blah. But it's some real, there's some real garbage human beings out there that just look down on the geek culture. And that's great. I'm happy for them because it keeps them away from me. I'm nestled over here very firmly in the middle of the geek culture. I'm not moving. I'm not leaving it anytime soon. I'm going to be a geek for the rest of my life. I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I'm going to have my own game system coming out here in about a year and a half, 2 years. And I'm very fucking excited about that because I think it's going to be the best game ever. Now, I know it's not true that it's the best game ever, but to me it is. And that's all I give a shit about.
Well, see, for me, when I've had like the cable guy come in, look up my stuff on my desk and stuff, okay, and he's looking around going, wow, you got so much stuff, and he's looking around at it and stuff, and he's not like, oh, like that look. He thought it was cool. And I'm like, yeah, I got a can of beer, J.R. Ewing beer. And I was showing him all, my True Blood stuff. And I got Walking Dead. And my tons of Wolverine stuff, Spider-Man. I got everything, anything that I see that I really want for some whatever purpose, I grab it. But all my Star Trek autograph stuff, I've just got, I got a mannequin with a Star Trek uniform on it. I mean, it's just, I know it sounds really stupid, but I can't help it. If I went into another person's house, the first thing I would say, like with that one episode where on the TV series with the geeks and stuff on it at that show, they went over to that guy's house and he had all that memorabilia in his basement. He was really rich and they were all like freaking out, and they didn't even realize they were trapped down there, because they were having so much fun because there was so much stuff down there. And then the one where they're on the side of the road and they're all dressed, getting ready to go to a Star Trek convention and they're dying and sweating, and because their car broke down, all that stuff. To me, I loved all of that. Any of that stuff that portrays how much we love what we have and what we do, and talking to other people and going to other people's houses that have that. So I know I'd have a heyday. I'd probably play with all your stuff if I ever get to come over there, because I can't help it. I like it. I enjoy it. I see how much work went into it, you know, and I'm proud of you for everything that you've worked on. And I bet it'd be a lot of fun to look through your collection. So I look at it differently. And not very many people do, though. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's quite all right. This show was kind of short. The movie we watched, it was only like a 90-minute show, which I thought was almost the perfect length for a 3-act story. The characters, they could have been a little bit more fleshed out. I'm not going to say they couldn't have been. I would have liked to have seen more work with the Lion Man and his group of people, their culture. I would have loved to see more work with Prince Lotan. And anytime you have the Hawkmen there, I dig that. I wanted more when I saw this movie in its not condensed, but within its bookended format, because this does not really go into the depth that the cartoon does, which is fine. Cartoon had 24, 36 episodes, something like that, 2 or 3 seasons, and it was very enjoyable for what you got a chance to watch. I just, when it comes to Flash Gordon, I am a fan. I realized not long ago we were watching the live action Flash. One of my last episodes that I did with Nick Weiser was the Flash Gordon from Dino De Laurentiis, the live action movie, and Clobberin Times is there, and Clobberin's like, "This isn't even the best Flash Gordon that's been made. That's the greatest adventure of all." And I was like, "Holy shit! Somebody else has seen that." And we geeked out about this for about a good 2 or 3 minutes, you know. And I realized like I'm in the minority on this, but I feel I like the story on this a little bit better. I like the way that Ming gets away. I'm okay with the bad guy getting away. Hitler got away.
Because it leaves an opening for later, just like I was saying about what happened in the Transformers. When you kill them, it's final. You know, and it's kind of stupid when you try to make a new cartoon, say, oh, they rejuvenated him or they made a clone, or it's just not the same if it's not the same character. So I agree with you. I like this story in this animated version better than the Queen version. I'm sorry I said the Queen, but that's how I remember it. I do, because the story was better. It was more in depth. The character arcs were better, all that, except, you know, because I saw the other one first, and I kept getting the faces and the voices mixed up with the original one that I saw. But that didn't take away from the story to me. The story, it even made it a little better because I could visualize them in live form, you know what I mean, while I'm watching them do the stuff. But I did like the character arcs for Flash and Dale way better in the cartoon or the animated version, because it actually had depth, you know, and purpose, which I loved, which I thought was really, really good. The script was definitely better for this version. And I like the fact that Ming did get away, even though you thought he died. But then at the very end, you see him in his own little ship, and he's like, ha, 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 you know, whatever, which is what is supposed to happen with the bad guys. I
agree. I think it provides you an opening, like you said, and I would be perfectly happy if they would, if we could. It probably will never happen, but if they would make a sequel,
I don't know if I wanted to make it right now. Let's see another 2 years, maybe.
2 years
see
from
what
now
happens with a few things that's going on in this culture, because man, they're just beating us to death. Basically, they're tearing us up. I mean, they're taking everything we love and just turning it to shit. So I would rather watch the old stuff and reminisce about how wonderful it was and how good everything was compared to what they're making today. Until we can get more people like us in charge in the makings, in the behind the scenes stuff. I don't want to see them make stuff like what you did when you showed me the Star Trek fan made version.
The Star Trek Continues.
Yeah, when you showed me that, I was like, oh my God, it was wonderful, you know. But I cried, almost started crying the first episode I got to watch it. It was so good. So until people that care about the characters and care about the story and care about what we care about, the fans, gets to make it, I don't want them to make it. I don't want to make anything. I don't want to remake a single thing until it's somebody that gives a shit.
Well, I mean,
we like
earlier in today's chat, one of the first things that somebody asked me was, have you seen the new Star Wars series, The Acolyte? What are your thoughts? And I kind of replied back to Mikey, like, Star Wars doesn't exist after 2012, dude. There's going to be 100 people.
No, it's bad, though.
There's going to be 20 people uploading angry fucking rants about Star Wars Acolyte today, just alone.
Yeah, it won't be me.
I don't give a shit. I'll talk about the extended universe Star Wars, the stuff that Disney doesn't make money on, or I hope they don't make money on. I'll talk about it all day. If you want to talk about Pawn Shop Star Wars, that's awesome. We can talk about Pawn Shop Star Wars because they don't make fucking money on pawn shops. But I don't watch garbage. I try not to watch garbage. I do my best. If I'm going to watch garbage, it's going to have Canon Films at the very beginning of the movie. And that's my fucking happy garbage right there. I don't watch fucking shit that says Disney. Fuck that.
I don't watch Disney either.
It's like I'll watch old stuff like when Michael Eisner was in charge. But anything that's this new garbage, like they're in a race to find the bottom of the media scrap heap. And
see, I don't even buy anything today at all. One thing, I don't go to their parks. I don't buy any of their products or anything. I try never to endorse anything that Disney does because I do not like what Disney has done to what I loved. Things that I love, they have taken and just shit on it. So I'm not giving them my money. I wish more people would stop buying their stuff. If more people would stop backing Disney, they would say, well, we got to do something. We got to change something. And maybe they'll listen to some of us. Or why not hire some actual fans like they did with, like with what they did with the Star Trek Continues. Get people like that to make the stuff, and it will make bukus of dollars for the company. But I don't understand why they think the agenda is more important than making blockbusters. That's not common sense. I mean, it's just dumb.
Well, you've already said the key phrase in there.
Common sense.
Yeah, you've already said that. And these are people that are Marxists, they're Alinskyites, they're people that they want to see their agenda, their politics, their morality looked at in a positive light. And that's why we have dumb little girls saying, I don't like white people. This entire episode, this entire series is to make white people cry. And when I saw that just on the clip art, just on the thumbnail, I went and I did a search. I'm like, yeah, she actually said that. Holy cow. That's one way you can get rid of 80% of your audience. Congratulations, you dumb little twat. And I'm happy for her. I hope she has a long career at Disney before they file Chapter 13. But even then, if they do, they'll be subsidized by the government. And you and I will have to pay for Disney to get out of Chapter 13. And it's
ridiculous.
Heartbreaking. Canon or Trump.
I still, in the back of my mind, I still have hope that someone like Elon Musk, I'm not saying him, but someone like him, with money and means that loves something, like he wanted to take Twitter and make it X and make changes to it to try to make it a more of a multimedia platform with more people being able to speak out and have their point of view and stuff. Even you've admitted when you finally went back to X that it is better than it was, and that you could see that it's trying something new. Okay. The sad fact is that, until we have someone with buku dollars or a group or a company or something decides that, I'm tired of seeing what's happened to Disney. It's a shame because the real people that ran Disney way back when it started aren't involved at all because they're all probably dead now. But I don't know why. I thought pursuing making money, and being successful and putting out content that people would flock to, the days of seeing people standing in line for days, like the movie, the Passion of the Christ, I never drove by a single theater that didn't have rows and rows of people outside. Okay. In two different states, Louisiana and Arkansas. And I was surprised by it. And that intrigued me. And I was like, maybe I should go see it, because I was like, wow, So, and I knew it was going to be sad because everybody that's a Christian knows the story, but I went and saw it anyways because I was moved by how many people wanted to spend money to go see it. And the same thing happened with Star Wars. Remember? Ghostbusters. Lots of older movies had droves of people waiting in line, camping out to get tickets and stuff because they wanted to see it so bad. And you're never going to see that again. We're never going to see anything like that again.
I actually disagree with you on this.
Why? What do you think is going to happen then?
I think at some point before the collapse of the movie houses fully takes effect. Although, if you're a fan of Regal Cinemas, I feel sorry for you because they're going away. They're done. AMC Theaters is on the ropes too. Sorry about that. But other movie houses have figured out how to do this.
Doing private parties and things like that.
Alamo Drafthouse has figured out that if you do private parties, you can make your money back. And that's one thing they do.
That's good.
During the pandemic, you could rent out a whole theater for 15 people for $150.
Mm-hmm.
It was
that's
like
great.
$10 per 15 person minimum.
Mm-hmm.
I think they closed one Alamo Drafthouse on Marbach, but the Regal Cinemas are on the ropes if they're not closed already. I know Regal's been closing their shops left and right. GKC Theaters is closing up a lot of shops.
The scary fact about the theaters, okay, the input of theaters, okay, because a couple of good theaters are doing well in your state of Texas, right? Doesn't mean that you're going to have any theaters in Oklahoma, Missouri, or Wyoming, Utah, whatever, are going to be open. So what's going to happen is Hollywood, the people are putting the movies out, will say, here's the movies and we're going to distribute them. And then the few tiny amount of theaters that you have in Texas or a few other states say, hey, we want it. And they'll say, what's this much money? And you're like, we can't afford that. You see, they'll have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks or even months to finally get the movie. And by then people have already watched it on TV and already bought it online. See, so that hurts the theaters too. What I'm talking about is people not being able to get a ticket unless you go to the theater to watch it. See, I just don't see that happening anymore because I don't think, like Prime Video or any of those people are going to say, well, we're not waiting to be second. We're going to take it now or we're not going to take it. You see what I mean? They're going to push around the theaters. And that's why I'd rather go to a theater and sit down, put my feet up, have some popcorn, pay 10 times the amount of price for popcorn when I have my own popcorn machine at home, simply because of the way I feel when I sit in a theater and get to see the huge screen and hear the music, and you get involved in it. You're enveloped by it. Okay, that's what a movie experience is supposed to be. You don't get that sitting in your living room. I don't. I mean, some people might, but I don't. I don't feel the same way. I much rather go to the theater and get that special gift of popcorn box, or any of the other trivia stuff they're going to have. Used to love to do that. Just waiting in line to be able to get the products that they would put out with, the promos with the movie that's coming. But I haven't seen that in years and years. That's why I really feel like, especially where I live, because I can't go to Texas, San Antonio every time a movie comes out. I can't afford it to be able to go to a decent theater and have that feel, because there might not be any theaters near me anymore. They might have all went belly up because nobody gave a shit enough to go to spend money at that theater. I mean, I'm going still here in this little town every so often, and there's maybe 20 people. So if that doesn't grow, it's not going to. That's why I'm kind of excited to see how many people show up for this new Deadpool movie. If I can go there and see lots of people wanting to buy tickets to that movie, that might give me some hope. But I remember, 6-7 years ago, when a movie would come out, there'd be 3 movies and people standing in line for 3 different movies. Okay, now you're lucky if you have one good movie a month. See,
that's
what I'm saying.
The part that pisses me off. Like the lack of quality, movies nowadays is just sad.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
The Draft House, Flady gave me a link for all 5 Dallas area Alamo Draft House, where they shut
I
those
want to
down.
go to one of them.
They also
Cinema
shut down
Pub.
one that was in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get you if there's one by you. I'll point it out to you. It'll be over an hour away though. It really will.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Probably in Little Rock. It's probably the closest one, or like maybe West Memphis, or
yes.
Down near going towards Shreveport. That would probably be that's why I would love it. Our state, Arkansas, voted to have 4 casino resorts put in. They cut the state in 4 pieces, right? And they voted with the racing commission that each one of these 4 corners would each get a casino resort to help bring money to that area, right? Well, the corner I'm in is the Dry County one where they're like, no, it's against the Bible, and all this kind of stuff. They're fighting it. And every single time we got a decent place that wants to open a casino, they with money, saying they'll put a water park in, a couple amphitheaters, an RV park, a dog park, all this different stuff they're willing to put into it to bring more people. And a couple little churches, and I think another casino that's somewhere else that's afraid they're going to take money from them is buying ads saying, oh, if you put this casino and you're going to have drug addicts and prostitutes everywhere, that kind of stuff. That's the kind of ads I'm seeing. So, it's heartbreaking because I would love it. People used to come see me when I lived in New Orleans because we had Jazz Fest. We had, festivals, we had parades, we had so much stuff all the time going on. They'd come and stay with me, and then I'd take them out in the town and show them around. And it was fun because I had someone to hang with that I trusted, and they had a great time. And then they'd go home and they'd have, they'd say, hey, I'll be back when this happens or whatever. It was great. Well, if I had that here, it'd be worth going an hour or an hour and a half to go see a stand-up comedian, or to go see an RV or boat show, because we have a resort that will actually have stuff like that because it can draw enough people in to make money. See, and that brings revenue to your counties and helps build. But I don't know why these people, little bitty factions that have stock in one of the other casinos, that are already here, they don't want anyone to open another one, especially if it's got all the stuff that these, extra great places, things to do that have nothing to do with going to the casino. If you could stay, in your RV and have a dog park, take your dog to, and that night go see a stand-up comic or a band, a big band that you haven't gotten to see. And that will draw people. They don't even have to go to the casino, and they'll still make money. And it will make the whole community around, because I think they even said, I was reading in the newspaper, because they're having to reapply and all this stuff, that they were only going to put in 300 hotel rooms because they didn't want to take away all the hotels in the little towns around, which is, to me, that looks like somebody who wants to bring to your area and not take away from it. So I don't know. It just was more people would look at what could happen to your surroundings if you have to spend money to make money. It's called advertising. I know it's because I do promo stuff, so I advertise for people, and that's the only way you're going to make sales is if somebody knows about your product. If they don't know anything about it, then no one's going to buy it. They'll buy the other thing that's already on the shelf, because they don't know anything about you. So. I don't know. I got my fingers crossed. So that's my new political thing. I think I'm going to dabble in is helping them get a good casino in the quarter of the area that I'm in now. We'll see.
So we have a few people that have discussed their thoughts about this movie we watched today.
Okay, yeah. Let me.
6 Nations, 31 Kings. Go ahead, Janet.
Oh, I was over on the X trying to read some of the chat over there, but go ahead.
Okay. He says that easily a 75 to 80% out of 100. It was well animated. It held close to the source material and holds up really well after 40 years later. Yeah. My one complaint was no Brian Blessed as Prince Voltan. Yeah. That is the sad thing about this. I really after you hear Brian Blessed talk and you see his performances, you really want him to be more involved in everything Flash Gordon. And it's just it's sad because he has to be paid for what he does. He's got to be given money. But Vic Perrin did a hell of a job with Ming the Merciless, and David. I'm going to butcher this guy's name. David Apatoshu. He did the voicing for Prince Voltan, and he passed away sadly in 1996 at the age of 78. Mm-hmm. He was known. He did an episode for Star Trek. He played Anon 7 in 1967's the original series. He was Mr. Jacoby in Torn Curtain. He was One Spy Too Many as Mr. Kavan, and he was in Exodus as Akiva Ben Kanan. Which, if you've seen,
I thought he did a good job for the voiceover for this animation. It was the drawing of the character that I really didn't like because he was so harsh looking. He wasn't romantic. He wasn't a Prince Charming kind of character like they had in the other movie. So
the live action version turned Prince Lotan into a player per se, or not really a player. He's kind of simped for a princess.
He was like, he was a Prince Charming. He was attractive and he was very romantic with her. That's how he came across. So when I saw the harsher one that was like my way or the highway, that kind of guy, it just wasn't what I was expecting. But the voices, had nothing to do with his voice. It was that what he was saying, and the drawing was more harsh. It wasn't romantic. I don't know. That's the only way I could explain it. But yeah, I agree with it. His score, because I would say I'm going to give it an 85. I thought the story was really, really good. I thought the artist did an excellent job portraying everything that they were trying to come out with. The only thing that I didn't like was there was a couple little holes in it, like I said about the where all the miners went, just little subtleties like that, and how all these people just are not there anymore. They just disappear, just little things like that I thought were in the story. I could find a few more, but I can't remember right this second, but I did talk about them earlier. But besides that, I thought it was really good. I thought that like I already said, the two main characters were better in this version than they were in the Queen version, because they actually had substance and purpose, unlike the other ones,
Now, for the Flash Gordon movie that came out in 81 with Sam J. Jones and had the Queen soundtrack, I rated that in the 84% category back in March or February. I want to say it was March with Nick Weiser and his crew. And this movie I enjoy a little bit more. I've watched it more. I've really watched a lot of this, and I like the music to this. The score to it isn't as bombastic with Queen, but it just feels more like serialized adventure. I love the voice actors that do the work. Robert Ridgely does his absolute best work with this movie, and he's the voice actor that he played Flash. That was the Flash Gordon I grew up with watching on Saturday mornings. I just feel that is a hands down the best Flash Gordon that there is. And I haven't watched all the serialized adventures. I will be watching those. We were told to watch those by Mr. Hardwick Benthlow. He says the 1983 animated Flash Gordon movie is much better than the 1980 live action version. However, the 1930s serials starring Buster Crabbe are by far the best Flash Gordon adaptation.
I never saw that one. I'd like to watch that.
We're gonna watch that one. We're gonna queue those up for November or December, because nothing says family better than saying no.
I'm really excited about your documentary that I finally got to watch the trailer for, the Tomorrow one.
In Search of Tomorrow.
2 episodes. Yeah, I can't wait because I've never saw it, and oh my god, every single thing I saw in the trailer, I'm like, excited about watching it. So that's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
I now that I know about that, I want to actually get a chance to find the DVD or Blu-ray and buy it, but I'm having a hard time doing that. I had to get a hold of. I know it sounds so weird for me, but I had to get a hold of a High Seas location to see this, and I want to give these people money because they made an amazing documentary that spans over 5 hours.
Just the lineup of who's they're talking to. I mean, it's like going to your very own Comic-Con, and getting a personal seat. Like, you pay the money and you go to the different rooms and you can sit and listen to the stories of different things depending on what your interests are, like the makeup people or the costume people and things like that. I do that. See, when I go to cons, I go into the little rooms and listen to the little tidbits that no one else gets to find out about what they had to do to make this TV series or this movie or a play or whatever it is that these people are involved in. I just love it. I think to me, that's the backbone of the industry. I mean, without these creative talents, you just don't have nothing, and I love it. I'm excited about it. Really excited about it.
The only bad thing about this is there's too much time given to Will Wheaton. But we got Sean Young on there, Clancy Brown, Vernon Wells.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
Adrienne Barbeau, Jeanette Goldstein. She was Vasquez in Aliens.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other stuff.
These interviews are going to be freaking cool. I'm so excited about getting to watch it.
Nancy Allen, Ronnie Cox, Catherine Mary Stewart, still her and Nancy Allen both can still get it. I'm sorry. Dee Wallace, the original lady werewolf from The Howling.
Yep.
Paul Verhoeven's in it. Carrie Henn, Billy D. God bless that man. We don't have any more weeks left with that guy. He's not in good shape. You see him at a convention, give the guy a hug and say, I'm going to buy some malt liquor for you. Shane Black's in it. Sam J. Jones, Melody Anderson is in it. Who else? Got Matt Winston, Barry Bostwick, one of the
Boxler. Yay, from Rocky Horror. Yeah, I remember him from
Sarah Douglas. She's from Superman 2. Kurtwood Smith has a few points in that where he's talking, and it's like, oh my God, I get to hear Clarence Boddicker talk. Awesome. Ivan Reitman before his death. Alex Winter's in there. Deep Roy, Joey Kramer.
Jesse Ventura. Oh man, see how we're gonna be. We're gonna probably need more than 2 days.
We'll discuss.
Okay, there's a lot of content right there, just in the interviews.
This is a big fucking documentary, and it's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. Man, that's a lot. That's a lot of talent.
And what we're gonna watch is a show called In Search of Tomorrow. We've got to do a review on it. It's up my alley. It's completely
like 3 or 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be two different shows.
Yeah. And I'm scheduling that for early August to start us to get through that.
Okay.
Now, my review for this movie we watched tonight, it is I'm giving this an 88. I'm giving this movie an 88% out of 100 because it's such an amazing piece of live action cinema. It does have some problems there. I don't think there's a Blu-ray release for it. I would love a Blu-ray release. It's got a lot of action in it. It does very well with the characters. The only negative that I could say is that maybe the music isn't John Williams enough for you, but for me, it's completely enough. And I want you to understand that this is a movie that they shelved it for years. It wasn't really supposed to be talked about much, and there's more people talking about this now that I've heard people talk about the Flash Gordon live action movie. This always comes up in a conversation. It's not as good as The Greatest Adventure of All. And I have to say that I actually like The Greatest Adventure of All a lot more than I do than the original, than the live action. The original Flash Gordon comics by Alex Raymond are finally getting reprinted starting this year. Mad Cave Studios is doing it, and they've been out of print and expensive for about a decade. Now, There was one other thing I was going to. Oh yeah, we were talking about Saturday morning cartoons, and Flatey, one of our mods, the dirty campaigner of all, and I call him that because he's actually a dirty campaigner. He's in the $10 tier for my memberships. I'm a very bad membership YouTuber. I don't do a whole lot for my people. I that's why I have so few memberships. And those of you that give, you don't have to, but I appreciate it because it does help with just things. But I have a $10 tier, and my guy that does that, that's Flatey, and I want him to be involved with every time I sit down to run D&D from here on out. You know, in every new campaign, I want the guy to be there for it. But he sent me this. Take a look at this. Is what we used to have.
Yeah.
And I'll read this aloud for you because it might be too small. High atop the beautiful downtown Burbank and NBC Video Penthouse, the head of programming, Smurf, presides over the teleconference strategy meeting with the stars of Saturday morning lineup. Besides, he's a bear, and we're bears, and is a country bear. We're 2 bear shows in a row. Lucifer, you've already had 3 big primetime specials, so we figure you'll be great opening act. I hope so. Otherwise, the Smurfs would have to give up a half hour earlier. And if that happens, I'll scream until I turn blue. Punky Brewster, the best Punky Brewster, because she never gets old and never worry about taping her boobs down because she's losing her childhood, turning to a woman. You already are blue. Oh, yeah. But I don't get up that early. I think I saw your squirrel friend running out the door, Chasms. And this is what you used to have when you had quality comic books being made. This is the type of advertisement you'd have. You'd have, for the Saturday morning cartoons, everything coming out that's going to keep your kids entertained from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. You'd have something on. And so we got the Kissifer, we got Disney Adventures of the Gummy Bears, Smurfs, which is 90-minute show, Punky Brewster, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Foofer, I don't know why, but whatever. Kid Video, which I never watched, and One to Grow On, which I never understood. They had 5 times. That was like a interspersed between cartoons, if I remember right. And this is the type of advert you would have in comics for your upcoming Saturday mornings. I mean, kids just want to have fun on Saturdays. You got the Berenstain Bears, the Wuzzies, the Young Astronauts. At first I thought that said Starship Troopers, my bad. Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. And he never looked like that in the cartoon. He always had this huge mane of hair that you would just immediately want to have that same hair he had. And then the Muppet Babies and Monsters. Good God. So this is the type of stuff we used to have in comics. If you wanted to watch Saturday morning cartoons, you'd be entertained. You'd be blessed to have a VHS player so you could watch more Saturday morning cartoons you missed because you were watching other Saturday morning cartoons because everything ran against itself.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Snorks in 85, 86, the Adventures of the Gummy Bears, the Smurfs, Alvin and Chipmunks, Kid Video, the Mr. T cartoon.
18, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Spider-Man, Amazing Friends, and you had the One to Grow On from Michael J. Fox is trying to do stuff. I don't know why, but this is the type of thing we used to get in our comics. That looks good. That's a really good setup and quality drawing, I might say.
And that's a lot of information. So I mean, not just a drawing with 2 or 3 little blobs on it. It's a lot of information in comic books. Well, used to. Yeah.
So I think I have to. Yeah, we used to have the Ghostbusters cartoon. Good God, that was a really good cartoon. The Real Ghostbusters, which was patterned off the live action movies with Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, and then you had an original The Ghostbusters, which was patterned off of a 1960s TV show that nobody remembered, and it just had the Ghostbusters name. It was really weird, but I really like this movie. Appreciate everybody coming out and listening to me rave about it. I think if you like this type of thing, then hopefully you'll be here for us next week, because Janet and I are going to watch a classic from the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
Janet, can you remember what it is?
It's another animated movie, but it's one I
No,
haven't seen.
Not.
Oh, I thought it was.
No.
What is it?
We were watching the 1970 classic. Directed by Arthur Allen Seidelman, written by Aubrey Weisberg, and stars Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're watching Hercules in New York.
I haven't seen it. I've seen Conan, but I haven't seen Hercules. No, I haven't seen it.
We're going to watch Hercules in New York, where they take Siri and have Siri voice over all of Arnold's lines, because I've
never heard of it. When did it come out?
1970.
I have never heard of it. I'm sorry, but I like Arnold movies, so hopefully it'll be good.
Oh, you're in for a treat, but man.
Well, we need to remember. Tell the chat, okay? Anyone in the chat, if you would like to watch this with us, we watch it before we do the review. So, like at 12:30, if you join us in Bruce's Discord, we will all watch it. So if you're on Discord and you want to watch it with us, we'd love for you to come watch it with us and then join us for the review afterward. But I haven't seen it, so it's going to be another one like today where I'll have to just rush and try to figure out what's going on. But yeah, it looks cheesy from that one photo. But yeah, I'm excited about watching it.
So much cheddar in this movie.
Yeah, it looks cheesy for sure, but that's good.
Oh wait, there is an actual DVD. No, is that the VHS? It's a VHS featuring Arnold's original audio track. If only we had that version.
Oh,
but yeah, we're gonna see a movie that Schwarzenegger first did.
Did this ever even go to the theaters, or did it go straight to DVD? Or
it was in theaters. It was. This was on right before Pink Flamingos. Okay, right before Pink Flamingos took over at midnight. This is what you got.
No, I'd never seen it. So, but it looks like some few people in the chat are excited by getting to watch it. So, my God, you got to be kidding! This is cheesy. It's gonna be so bad.
Oh, they had $100 budget. Come on.
Oh, they probably had less than $100 budget. I mean, honestly. Oh my God! But at least we know they didn't spend it all on hookers and blow, right?
That's true. We had to pay for these gold leafs in his head.
Yeah. So. Oh my goodness, this is bad. But I'm ready to watch it. I'll take a hit for the team. It looks like it'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll give me a good laugh.
Hercules New York is billed originally Arnold Schwarzenegger as Arnold Strong, and he had his voice dubbed over to hide the accent. And now the new version has got his actual voice in it. But the IMDb says stars Arnold Stang, and hyperlinking over to Arnold Stang. Who's that go to? Oh, it's actually a real person. I thought it was like I'm a little bit
Yeah, it's Flatey. Are you going to provide all the pizza and cheap beer for the movie?
Janet, we have Frio beer. Beer, they sell you 30 for $21.
Yeah, I can believe it. You'd have to be drunk to watch it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna
watch this and have fun with it.
But I have to go through and get some pictures so I can dress up in a toga again.
So come by next week and watch the movie with us, and then join us for the review and discussion. And look at Janet in her toga, because that's going to be actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wore a toga once for that one movie.
Yeah, it was great. We could do more of that. And be more than
Animal House. That's right. Remember?
Yes.
That was a fun movie.
Fantastic movie.
I'm sure this will be fun. We'll laugh a lot, and that's what we need. Everyone should leave with a smile on their face, hopefully. Arnold Strong was a funny guy, someone put in the chat. So
yeah, Arnold Stang was a funny guy, actually. The little guy that plays Pretzi.
Stang. Okay, I'm sorry, I misread it.
Okay. And Flavy says this is a solid popcorn, pizza, and cheap beer movie.
That's why I said, is he going to get us all pizza and popcorn and beer? So it'd be fun.
Appreciate everybody coming in here for today's
thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate
it. Appreciate if you will be the one to close us out.
Well, Wednesday I'm going to be doing a Me and My True Form for with Tolbat, and we're going to do another UFO Mysteries Wednesday. I think it's 6, but I'm not 100%. We'll be putting a video out, and then Thursday night I'll have the Team Shit Show 2.0, and I think I'm going to have I'm not going to say their name, but I think I'm going to have a really good guest. I'm hoping if they get a hold of me again. And then Friday night will be the Friday Night Shit Show, and then I'll be joining you on Saturday. So for another game.
Looking forward to that. That'll be for the alpha test I'm running. So you'll see 6 Nation, 31 Kings, and Flady, and all my other treasured friends are going to be there, plus Janet, and maybe we got Nerdy Ogre, who just joined up with that crew as well. He took over the marshal position because Connell had to leave. So anyway, I'm looking forward to this. Everybody, please be safe. Have a good, productive week. Make sure you hug your family members and the people you love, because you don't know how many more days you got. And I know it sounds like a downer, but life isn't for everyone.
Well, you guys have a wonderful rest of Sunday.